On the morning of October 12th, at exactly 7:40 a.m., Thomas Hale disappeared. At least, that was the last confirmed time anyone saw him. Thomas Hale was not the kind of man people expected to vanish. He was 42 years old, punctual, predictable, and deeply rooted in routine. Every weekday, he left his apartment at 7:30 a.m., walked 3 blocks to the subway station, bought a black coffee from the same vendor, and boarded the 7:52 train to the city center. He worked as an accountant for a mid-sized architecture firm and returned home every evening by 6:10 p.m. He lived alone. No wife, no children, no pets, and no enemies, at least, none that anyone knew of. So when Thomas failed to show up for work that morning and didn't answer his phone, his colleagues assumed he was sick. By noon, his manager called his apartment. No answer. By evening, concern began to grow. By the next morning, Thomas Hale was officially reported miss. Detective Mara Levin was assigned to the case. She stood in the doorway of Thomas's apartment, notebook in hand, scanning the small but orderly space. Everything was clean, almost obsessively so. The bed was made. The sink was empty. The trash had been taken out. No signs of a struggle. No signs of packing. No note. His wallet was gone. His phone was gone. His keys were gone. But his laptop remained on the desk, open. The screen showed a spreadsheet, unfinished. The cursor blinked in one empty cell, like the computer itself was waiting for Thomas to return. Doesn't look like someone planning to disappear, Mara murmured. She checked the bathroom. Toothbrush dry. Shaver unused. The calendar on the wall was neatly marked. October 12th was circled in red. No explanation. No words. Just a circle. Security footage from the apartment building showed Thomas leaving at 7:31 a.m., dressed in his usual gray coat, carrying his briefcase. He paused briefly at the door, as if checking something in his pocket, then stepped outside. That was normal. The street camera across the road caught him walking toward the subway at 7:36. Then came the final image. At 7:40 a.m., Thomas stopped. He turned his head sharply to the right, as if someone had called his name. His body stiffened. For a moment, he didn't move at all. Then he stepped out of frame. He never appeared on any other camera again. It's like he walked into thin air, said Officer Reed, who had reviewed the footage 3 times. Mara didn't answer. She was staring at Thomas's face in the final frame. He didn't look scared. He looked surprised. Mara interviewed everyone she could. His co-workers described Thomas as quiet but polite. He never talked about his personal life. He ate lunch alone. He left work exactly on time. No problems with anyone? Mara asked his manager. None. Honestly, sometimes I forgot he was there. His neighbors were the same. Nice guy? Kept to himself. Never had visitors. I heard him playing music sometimes. Old songs. No one knew where Thomas spent his weekends. No one knew if he was dating anyone. No one even knew his favorite food. It was as if Thomas Hale had lived his life deliberately unnoticed. That worried Mara more than anything else. The laptop held the first real clue. Hidden inside a folder labeled Taxes 2019 was a second folder. Password protected. It took a cyber unit 2 days to break in. Inside were audio files. Dozens of them. Each file was dated. Most were recorded late at night. Mara listened to the first one. At first, there was silence. Then breathing. Then Thomas's voice. If something happens to me, he said quietly, this is not an accident. Mara sat very still. In the recordings, Thomas spoke about being followed. About seeing the same man on different streets. About receiving phone calls where no one spoke. I think they know I know, he said in one file. Know what? That answer came in the last recording. I wasn't always Thomas Hale, the final recording said. Mara leaned closer to the speaker. My real name is Daniel Cross. And 15 years ago, I helped send the wrong man to prison. The name Daniel Cross lit up old databases. 15 years ago, Daniel Cross had testified in a murder trial. His testimony had been crucial. The accused, a factory worker named Michael Rowe, was convicted and sentenced to life. 2 years ago, new evidence had surfaced. Michael Rowe was released. Daniel Cross disappeared shortly after. Changed his name. Changed his city. Changed his life. But guilt, it seemed, had followed him. Michael Rowe lived 3 hours away, in a small coastal town. Mara drove there the next morning. Rowe answered the door himself. Older. Thinner. His eyes were tired but calm. I was expecting this, he said. Did you know Thomas Hale? Mara asked. Ro nodded slow.